All right, let us begin this very exciting and interesting special session. Greetings and good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues in the water and development sector, invited guests, academics, representatives from sector organizations, members of the A4 Labs Consortia. I welcome you all for this special presentation titled Farmer Voices from Sand Rivers. My name is Louise Nkomo, and I am from Tabane Trust, a local nonprofit organization in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. We are working mainly in the Limpopo Basin, and I will be the session moderator. Assisting me is Dr. Pooja Prasad. Pooja, please raise your hand and greet the people from IHE Delft, who will be rapporteuring and assisting us by taking notes of the comments and questions that we make in the chat box. So let us remember to use the chat box for comments and questions and any points of clarification. These will be noted. Please note, as we begin this session will be recorded. I would, at this point, like to acknowledge the partner organizations of the Arid African Alluvial Aquifers A4 Labs project, who are the conveners of this special session. From Mozambique, we have partners from ISPG. Our partners, you can wave your hands. There we are, Cesario. We have partners from Kenya, representing the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And our partners from Kenya, quickly give us a good wave. From the Mikele University in Ethiopia, we have partners who are with us and joining us, Mickey and team. Then, of course, from Tabane in Zimbabwe, we have partners who are working with the National University of Science and Technology, as well as the University of Zimbabwe. Stephen and team, you could wave, and there we can see you. And of course, to our special friends from IHE Delft, Oxfam Novib, and Acacia Water in the Netherlands. Peter and team, you could wave your hands. Thank you so much. At this point, before we delve into the program and listen to the farmer voices, we are going to have a quick run through the special session program, which is now being shared on our screens. Okay, so I will give a brief introduction into the IHE Delft Partnership Program for Water Development titled Arid African Alluvial Aquifer Laboratories Water for Development. Then we will go straight into the most exciting part of this presentation, which are the farmer videos, the farmer voices from Sand Rivers. We will then be given presentations by the Ethiopian team from Mikele University, by Dr. Jeremiah Kiptala, by Mr. Sergio Pongwane, and by Ms. Sambulisiwe Masebo. We will then quickly move into a 40-minute discussion thereabout on the emerging issues from the presentations and the farmer voice stories. And here I will invite Professor Peter van der Zalk to lead the session, to open the platform to comments and questions and discussions on opportunities for further collaboration. We will thereafter have a presentation on the Mzingwane Lab Video Challenge, an exciting challenge that was run within the Mzingwane sub-basin, in which farmers stated their stories of impact or stories of change of how the project has been benefiting them and has changed their lives. We will then end with a conclusion and way forward, which is going to be in the form of a PowerPoint presentation given to us by Paulo Servac from ISPG Mozambique. That being our program, we can now move on to the presentations for the session. So in arid regions such as the Mzingwane, the Limpopo, and the Tekeze sub-basins, irrigation is a prerequisite for crop production. Over the past 20 years, and until more recently, there have been significant shifts from engineering-led irrigation that was characterized by large investment and complex, expensive technologies towards a more interactive approach to which farmers under their own responsibility and initiative are moving towards low-cost, appropriate technologies with little investment. The A4 Labs project therefore aimed towards upholding and supporting the case of smallholder irrigation, and more specifically for those smallholder farmers who are drawing water from alluvial aquifers or sand rivers. So this special session is unique in that it not only brings together practitioners, development experts, and academics, but today this special session, it presents in its entirety farmer voices from sand rivers across Africa, from their experiences drawn from action research. This special session depicts how the science and the research that we have been deliberating over the past 2 days in this symposium was turned into action research and has impacted positively on smallholder farmers. From the farmer voices that we will listen to, it is our expectation that we will be able to identify areas for potential learning, collaboration, and that it is the farmer voice that will push towards that shift into accelerating and enabling policy, research, and implementation environment in support for smallholder farming. So with those opening remarks, we will now go straight into the presentation of the Arid African Alluvial Aquifers project. So this project was established or was set up and began in 2016. Slides. Began in 2016 and is supported by the UNESCO IHE and the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The project is being implemented in 3 countries, in the Tekezi Basin, in Ethiopia, in the Limpopo Sub-Basin in Mozambique, and in the Umzingwane Sub-Basin in Zimbabwe. Success of the A4 Labs has also led to the funding of other spin-off projects. As you can see, we had the IPSAR, which was the irrigation package for Sand Rivers feasibility study, which was conducted in Mozambique. And this particular study really looked at the feasibility of irrigation from sand rivers. We also have the community empowerment through sustainable resource use and agricultural value chain development in the Limpopo Basin, which is popularly termed the CES Rural, which is a program that brings together farmers in the Limpopo and the Umzingwane Basin to co-learn and collaborate on irrigation, on smallholder farming irrigation within these regions. And then, of course, we have the new and upcoming Water, Energy, Food Nexus Tools project, which will be implemented in the Umzingwane Basin. So why the A4 Labs project? We need to understand the development challenge. Agricultural yields in sub-Saharan Africa have remained stagnant over the last 30 years. We know that 30% of the region within Africa is arid and semi-arid. And within that, we have insufficient and irregular availability of water for crops. Water scarcity and insecurity tend to lead to food insecurity. And of course, the dominant constraints for smallholder irrigation or for irrigation and agriculture has been poor soil nutrients, water scarcity, limited energy sources for production, and of course, volatile and unreliable markets for the selling of crops and products. But there's something unique about these arid and semi-arid regions. And what is unique about them is that they have a large, extensive network of sand rivers. And sand rivers are nature-based solutions for water storage. Now, sand rivers have a large potential for irrigation. They are currently underutilized. However, to abstract and access water, there is need for financial investment. Now, this is the development challenge. So the A4 Labs project really has a vision, and this is the project logic, how we can bring together farmer-centered approaches together with practitioner-centered approaches that will culminate into a future where people or farmers within these regions have a prosperous and resilient livelihood. So how does the project actually achieve this? We achieve this through action research, which is through living labs, where we co-develop, test, share, and compare with smallholder farmers irrigation technologies. We also use and adopt a multi-stakeholder approach, bringing together the smallholder farmers, government institutions, government extension, development partners, academic institutions, the private sector, and the local river basin institutions to plan around smallholder irrigation. And the key parameters underlying this action research really has been the sustainable abstraction limits. Of course, you know that once you begin to introduce technology for water abstraction, we need to start asking the questions, how sustainable are our abstraction limits? And then to what extent will be the social and ecological consequences of doing so? And then also another key parameter underlying this action research is institutionalized co-learning, bringing together all players in support of smallholder farmers. So what we're looking at here is how best we can, or how best we have been developing the water source that we have. Typically, in Kenya and in Ethiopia, for example, they have promoted sand dams, and in Mzingwane and of course in the Limpopo, we've done direct pumping from sand rivers through tube well installations. But how then do we abstract that water? We have been working with farmers to develop simple, appropriate, low-cost technologies that are at the heart of smallholder irrigation. As you can see in the next slide, we have the sunflower solar pump and the solar pushcart that was developed as a technology that was simple and appropriate instead of the big, large-scale, expensive investments. So what have been the impact stories so far? In the Limpopo Basin, I will just give a brief introduction because we're going to hear the success stories being given by the partner organizations. However, in the Limpopo Basin, they have worked with individual farmers, and there is the best performing farmer, a case of Miss Anita, who is now in her 3rd season and has started working and ensuring that she supports and strengthens other farmers who are now learning from her to develop their own smallholder irrigation schemes. In the Tekezi sub-basin, 15 farmers were supported with the SF2 sunflower pumps, and the farmers really are appreciating these pumps because they see the advantage of the solar pumps over the diesel or fuel pumps. They have no running expensive or very minimum running expenses. Their pumping rate is small compared to the diesel pumps, and they save unnecessary water losses. And of course, they've highlighted that they haven't faced any maintenance problems or challenges. So the Ethiopian project is also benefiting from the NABWIC project, which is the nature-based water infrastructure for global goals. And this is a project which aims to increase the smallholding farmers' resilience to climate variability by developing adaptive, novel investment pathway approaches to planning nature-based water storage solutions. So we will hear more on that from our friends from Ethiopia and Kenya as well. And then, of course, in the Mzingwane Basin, which is home to me, we have working with 11 farmers who are into horticulture production, and they are farming on a 0.1 to 0.2 hectares. It's small but effective for farming as a business and for really moving the farmer or pushing the farmer from subsistence farming into semi-commercial farming. We have seen farmers earn an income within one farming season of about 3 to 4 months of between 1,000 Rand to about 12,000 Rands. So really some significant lessons there. And we'll hear that presentation from Ms. Sewo. Then of course in Kenya, The Kenyan case is slightly different from the first three cases. However, what we have noted is that because it is closer to Nairobi, it has very good market access, and the access of irrigated farming is attracting new private sector investors, brokers, contract farming. You have farmers coming all the way from over distances of over 600 kilometers just to come and grow their crops within the Okerai River Basin. Of course, it's not just working with farmers. There's a lot of research that's happening together with the farmers. There's a lot of monitoring that is ongoing and a lot of learning and engagement. This is the element of co-creation that the project seeks to achieve. There's, of course, cross-lab collaboration and learning. The program itself has assisted 17 BSc theses research papers and 17 masters thesis papers. We've also been able to publish the work that we are doing in journals such as the Agricultural Water Management and the Environment, Science and Policy Journal. So I've just shown you the link to those. And if you need more information on the research work that has been done, you can get it on the A4 Labs website, which is highlighted there. And so there are areas for further research, evaluating the multiple impacts of smallholder agriculture. Here we're looking at what are the economic, the social, and the environment. Also evaluating the gendered nature of smallholder agriculture and the potential opportunities really for women and youth smallholder farmers. Of course, on the science part, on the hydrology part, we really need to understand the exact potential for sand rivers for productive use. And in an age where low cost and affordable technologies for smallholder irrigation is available, what remain the main drivers, constraining and enabling factors for smallholder farmers to get into irrigated agriculture? And so as a team from A4 Labs, our belief is that sand rivers, low cost efficient photovoltaics, plus efficient irrigation technologies equals prosperous, sustainable smallholder farming. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, siyabonga, obrigado, danki, yekenele. I now invite comments from Dr. Hassey. Stephen, if you can give us a comment or two before we move on. And yes, Pooja, if we've had any reactions so far, just one take will be fine.
Thanks, Louise. I think you've seen how positive this program has been and the implications of it for a sustainable food production, for nutrition, for improved livelihoods. It's been very good to work with IHE Delft and other partners to share experience. Technology development has been a good part of this, as you've seen. Dabani has for some 30 years been working with garden groups, not as successfully as we would like to have done. We've set up some 99 small-scale gardens. Now with the switch to solar energy and to the sort of nexus approach, it's given more opportunity through collaboration, through experimenting, and the possibility of reducing the water abstraction technology to a level for individual farmers to operate schemes. And this is, yeah, quite a lot more interesting and successful. There's also reference being made to the bigger picture, the need for research and for the volume of water in the sand rivers, for suitable sites. And we're looking at possibility of using drones to identify feasible sites for sand abstraction. Again, links made. Dabani is now working with, or A4 Labs and other projects can be working with the entire LIMCOM consortium, along with GEF and other players to look at erosion within the land, within sediment transport within the river channels, that of course is so very much linked to water storage within a river channel. There's great potential, great possibility here. It's not only that, I think it's so novel. It's so little understanding of the potential for irrigation from sand rivers. I mean, even amongst academics, I get asked, where'd you get the sand? What's the source of this, the water storage ability, capacity of the river? And of course, it's all from erosion, which is a loss of soil and the growing potential of the land. I think these are all factors we need to be looking at.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Hasse, for that. Pooja, do we have any reaction from the chat that we would just one that we could just hear? Pooja, you are on mute.
Oops, sorry about that.
Okay.
Thanks, Louise. We have a couple of comments here. So we have Aline who's saying, great presentation, great project, way to go. Peter has shared the link for A4 Labs for everyone here to that they can access for more information. Also, Dr. Joel Kabika says, great presentation and inspiring innovation. Dr. Kiptala says an excellent overview of the Nabvik Kenya case. Yes, and here we say Asante Sana. Sorry, we missed
Oh,
saying
yes.
that. There is one question here, and you can decide, Luis, whether we want to take that now. It says, how are the management and maintenance costs, as well as all potential benefits, usually distributed? Do you discuss this in advance with the farmers, or do you let them solve this? Or do you provide guidance?
Okay, I think we can take that in the discussion session.
Okay, so we can park that question, and I will come back to it as we have planned for quite a bit of time for discussion at the end of the videos from the sand rivers. So
okay,
perhaps we can.
You.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we can now move on to the most exciting part of this special session. I think our partners are ready. I have seen Dr. Iyasu is now on the platform, maybe because he just entered. Welcome, Dr. Iyasu. You are on mute. You are the next presenter, but because you've just entered the platform, I will request Dr. Jeremiah Kiptala, if you are ready with your presentation, to go first, and then you'll be followed by Dr. Iyasu before he loses his network connection. Are we okay with that? Dr. Kiptala, are you okay with that?
Yeah, it's okay for me.
Thank you, yes.
Okay, so I will just give an overview, and then I think the video will run. And the Nabvik case in Kenya actually is that we will be able to listen to the farmers in just close to Nairobi, Kenya. This is around 200 kilometers in a place called Mashuru. And this is a very interesting project which has come under this Nabvik research, which we have with HIHE and also Jomo Kenyatta, and also Seku University, which is also another local university in Kenya. And in this Sand River system is that it's mostly this is a traditionally pastoralist region where the indigenous people Maasai, they are mainly livestock farmers. But then in recent times, there's been opening up of the area because of infrastructure. There's a new road which is coming up there. So the farmers around there are mainly farmers who are from outside of the area. They're not indigenous people, so ideally they lease land, and they have shallow wells, which are within the alluvial systems. And what they do is that these shallow wells are done on farm ground, because what happens is that, as you all know, these sand rivers are very loose, that sometimes so they look at areas which have farm ground, so that the water which is stored in the sand or the alluvial systems flow into these shallow wells. And within this video, which which will give us voices of some few farmers, is that you'll also find so many sounds of pumps. That's the technology which is there, which gets water from these shallow wells to the farms, and of course in Kenya now alluvial aquifer systems are not really well recognized by the agricultural, let's say the extension officers. So you'll find that there's little support from the government or the county government on issues or the challenges which face farmers in alluvial aquifer systems, because it's still informal and not well recognized by government as a form of irrigation. So you find that the farmers are on their own, unlike the river irrigation systems where there's a lot of government or agricultural extension officers who are giving support. And you will within the video, you will see some of the challenges which they are facing, like disease, issues about nutrition, and what as during the overview is that you'll find that most of these farmers, since they are coming outside the area, have or seem to have very good market, that they already have knowledge about their market, because they are not it's not the first time that they're not first timers in doing agriculture. So they move to this area to do this farming. And the road infrastructure has not only increased access, but then it also brings the challenge of sand harvesting, because being close to the city is that there's a lot of sand harvesting around there. And that's some of the research activities which we are looking at as NABWIC, to see how sustainable is this sand harvesting, so that we don't affect the water storage capacity of these alluvial aquifer systems. And then also we're also looking at water availability, because it's a new area. It's something which is new in Kenya, and this irrigation is expanding very fast. So for sure, so we have better access to markets, which means there's faster delivery of goods. And this opens up the area to more richer farmers, what we call tajiris, who have more capital, they have market. And for the few years now, you find that the land leases in those areas are going up, because now they're catching people from the city going to farm. And that as the land leases go up, especially in the land near the sand rivers, it pushes some of the farmers further. And with that, you'll find that the pumping technologies that they're using now are bigger bumps. And and from the video, you'll see that the sizes of the pumps are increasing over time. And this is something which within our project, we are just trying to establish what's the impact of that. And I'm sure if you are able to look at the video, you will be able to see this. So I think we can start with the video.
To Nairobi is 600 kilometers.
Yes, yes.
And then from Nairobi to here is about 300 kilometers.
Na umetoka mbali sana.
That's almost 900 kilometers to this place.
Wow. Na umekuja tu juu ya ukulima?
Okay, nikija sikuja kabisa na ukulima. Mimi nime profession mambo ya mechanic na plant operation. So nilikuwa nafanya hapa mbele. Nilipoendelea kufanya nikasikia sifa za ukulima. Ndio nikaamua kuingilia.
So unalima nini sana sana?
Melon, nalima sana kitunguu.
Melon na kitunguu? Yeah. Okay. Iko na manufaa?
Sana tena. Ngawaje inalingana umelima kwa wakati gani. kuna wakati ukilima bado inaweza leta shida ikuchome usipate kitu, na kuna wakati ukilima ina manufaa zaidi. Depending na mahali umelima, bidhaa yenye unatumia, na bei vile inatoka. Yeah. So it's like wakati nililima ya kwanza nililima saidi tunaita lolika. Sijui kama umepita saidi. Ngambo ile. Kwa wiki, okay, kulingana na maji yenye tumeichimba pale ipo. Ina uwezekano hata siku 2 continuous bila kusimama mashine. Maana hiyo maji haiwezi teremka. And mostly wakati unaweka wakati kama huko sababu anahitaji na mimi nahitaji. Lazima aweke continuous. So vile ameanza sasa hivi. Alianza jana kaweka the whole of yesterday, the whole of this night, and today atakuwa amemaliza.
Sasa kwanza na jina yako? Kilonzo. Sawa, ni mkulima wa nyanya na melon, eh? Uko na shamba kiasi gani? Eka 10. Na maji mnatoa wapi? Kwa mto. Na ulikuja lini kwa nini? Unaitwa nani? Umelima kwa muda gani?
Hii French peas. Sema ndio mara ya kwanza kulima.
Mara ya kwanza kulima. Oh. Na mlilima mwaka hii mara ya kwanza? Na kwa nini hamjalima siku nyingine?
Bado iko hivi.
Oh. Na zimetoka wapi?
Hizi mbegu. Kutoka kwa kampuni. Kwa kila nini, kwa hii shamba yote, hii shamba imegawanywa na portions. Kuna sasa nikifika kupea maji, sipei yote pamoja. Ukienda pale utaona imegawanya na section. Sasa hii hapa ndo tunapata maji. Kwingine hakuna maji inaenda huko. Inakuja after 2 hours naibadilisha napeleka hiyo portion nyingine. Sasa inakunya 2 hours na napeleka chichibia kisima yenyewe.
Mlikuja huko lini?
Mwezi wa 5.
Mwaka hii?
Aha.
Kabla mjakuja huko mlikuwa mnalima wapi?
Tunalima huko Kinangop.
Kinangop. Na tofauti ya huko na hapa ni nini?
Tofauti hapa ni weather. Unajua hapa ni all weathers, all season. Yaani season yote unapata weather iko on good condition. Lakini huko inabidi utumie greenhouse.
So this is a short video on the voices of few farmers which who are using the Mashuru Sun Rivers. As you were able to hear, is that of course there are many benefits which they're deriving from this. The water is has never been a problem for them. The flow is stable, and of course the market is not also because they have a good market access. And this is an area which is growing very fast. And we think in a few years, of course, the challenge of water might arise, because now the water uptake will be high. And also the issues about sun harvesting, which we are looking at under this NABWIC project.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Jeremiah, for that. It was quite an interesting video. I do realize, however, that we are getting mixed reactions. However, we could hear the videos, the voices, the videos were a bit slow, but I'm sure we got the gist of it. So if we could be patient, it could possibly just be a network issue on our part. However, there are some who have seen the video and it has played well. So thank you very much from the team. Pooja, I'm sure at this point, if we have one quick reaction that we have on the charts, do we have a reaction on the charts for the videos? Or we could just open up the session just for one quick reaction from anyone who has been listening and watching.
Yes, Luis, we have a question here. Is it not expensive to use diesel? So maybe if you can respond quickly to that.
Okay. Because for sure, this is the present technology which they have currently, and so the farmers will go for what is available in the market, and what we are also seeing is that the pumping, the energy requirements now is going up because the farms are becoming bigger, because these investors, who are coming from far, are taking more hectares of land. So you'll find, like what you saw in the video, is one has 6 acres, another one has 10 acres, and they're also moving further from the river system, because those who are close to the river are leasing at higher costs. So the land which is available is a bit further. So they're responding to the needs and also what technologies presently available in the country. And this, most of these are Chinese really manufactured pumps, which are cheaply, the capital costs are less. So it's really, it's being pushed by the present technology which is there. It's not really about, and of course also, you'll also find that most of these pumps are portable, that some of them are also portable, that they are able to be removed and taken back to the farm. So it's about convenience and what is available currently.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Jeremiah. I know we have so many comments and questions from what we have just seen. We have a 40-minute discussion, and really let's keep the discussions there. So thank you very much from the team in Kenya for the good work that you are doing. We now move on to the next presentation, which will be given to us by Dr. Iyasu Yazeo from Ethiopia. Dr. Iyasu, welcome. You are on mute, Dr. Iyasu. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit unstable internet connection, and I'm trying to go around. I'm actually traveling down to the lowland of Ethiopia. That's why connection seems to be poor, but I will try my best in a very short period. Welcome everybody for this Farmers Voice presentation. I see more than 50 people joining us, which actually makes our family, the Sand River family, actually very happy. And I thank Luis for the nice organization and chairmanship. I'm introducing you to Ethiopian case. The Ethiopian case is found in the northwestern part of the country, and the basin is called Tekeze Basin. It is part of actually the Nile River Basin, and within that big catchment, we are actually engaged for the last 2 years in this A4 Labs research with farmers and regional development partners, both governmental and non-governmental, as well as other research organizations from this Tigray region. And we work in a place called Maygobo. This Maygobo area was a totally dry area prior to 2013. But in 2013, one non-governmental organization one non-governmental organization called Reef Society of Tigray actually introduced this sand dam. And over the last 5-6 years, more than 33 farmer households had been using this groundwater recharge water for irrigation in the form of hand-dug wells. And we, as I have said, we're working with them for the last 2 years on different levels of development-oriented research, including the introduction of these solar pumps, because they were using actually diesel pumps previously. And then in the last 2 years, we introduced solar pumps. And it seems that these solar pumps are actually making a change to our farmers. Beyond that, we also provide them technical support. And then we provide them training as well. So with that, the farmers are actually doing their best to be able to support not only their family, but also to generate additional income and build asset. I now invite you to hear the 7-minute farmer voices of where they were, where they are, what challenges they faced, how they resolved it, and what are still the challenges persisting and how they should be solved. So welcome to the presentation. And okay, so here is the video.
كله سبحان أبزي كابي نلك حلفنتن تتجلسنا اسمه محبر حافشاو جلس أسكي حبلنا
ما سمي جورجورس على عمالة بحال إذا موسنا محبر متحرية محبر رواويني موسنا محبر مياوتو زما كابيس ولو ليت أبادو إنيرو كل تشحي 4 عامات مرت مارت آتي ناي سافي سلام صراحتي بالسرحة كل تشحي 4 سنة قام دخل الرانشنا مانجو بمارت قريب ناي أو تا محبر استمصرت تسلو سنة كابي ب 3 أوالات 33 هزوت حتى زلا 33 أوالات ينزلوا 16 حارة عيلة 4 ناي والكعيلات أجرو فرستر ناي الساق اللون اللي يدفتوشتي بو إسرا زع هكتاريا وقتو لمعت 10 هكتار تقوم بقام تخلي ما نقولنا رانشي ب حملت تخرق لها قاريا قسطا شغورت ونمكرنا خمدرون نمكرينا أو بتلم دلت الحون نعرفن بمسنون زرينا ياو تلم دلت الحت أف داوشة الله بتلم ده كيس دام زي بنت سرحة وعلت ما يهزي ناوت خيد ناوزي ناقول وتخيدو خوفتو أولاتنا زم صراحة ياو بزحات صبوق زخد الله صبوقنا نورقهم زلوي قام تخلقهم زولعلون علاقة زقرولو بربر علاقة زجزأنا نرى خا جرات كات صوحلو حملت خا علاقة نرى خا جرات كات بلولو تقابل موزحتي نوع وصحي والسند خامات اللي تو عري زي سرحة وطو قالوا نزيون من قصة أسنان نجورلو كم تم قدمت خان كنت محر نجم إيش
زي فور لابس لبهال نعمل على يونيفرسيتي بروجكت سكاف هذا تاي أستاذ أتات غيروا لهم
مياو يونيفرسيتي مقالة زو أربع جزء أتيلا كنت عملت غير له يونيفرسيتي مقالة ناي تكنيك حاجز ناي سولارات تاون غيرنا له بتوسخي بزقروا له حتى ناي وحج بدأت ناي من مجمع عزب بجت حاجزنا له شيء سمي غير ما يزوري بها هاي تخريمات محارقة وملس هاي ما يبغى حتى هاي ما اسمه تكامي أو زخارف يبيع
متساند دام تتوجن زي كابس تاي مسلين
يا قد متسافي سدام مسرح جنت يودهم خوت صدفة أنباتات زينا مطب بروتي ما يوالا ناتشرشر زمتسيو بتعميجو سلمع حمد زينا تشرشر إذا خد ما قد درجات صحبايتا إنيرنا
من طعمي ولا سؤال معال كفتي نيرو زي سؤال وحش كعس سؤال تحتي لور نير من ما ينري هاي نتكمل يرنا شو بقى
ምህርቲ ዝበሃል ሸ ኣይነበረን ስሉቱ ባህላዊ ዘራእታት ነይሩ ካብ ስሉ ጣፍ ተደመሩ ካልኦታት ዝራእቲ ነይሮሞ ምንም ክርከብ ይኽእል ምህርቲ ዝበሃል ቅንሱ ነይሩ ኣይነበሩ
እሞ ከዚ እዚ ሳንድዳም ድሕሪ ምትእትታው እንታይ ዓይነት ለውጥታትን ረብሓታትን ረኺብና ትብል
ድሕሪ ሰርፌስ ዳም ነው ዘለና ማይ ምስ ኣውፃእኹ ኣብ ከባቢ ናይ 50 ግዛዕን ማንጎታት የለኒ 54 55 ነካ እዚ ብምሽሓሪ ተደመሩ ከዓቢ በረበረ ተደመሩ በቲማቲምን ኣራንሽን ካልኦታትን ገይረ ናብራይ ዝቀየር ኩሉ እዩ ኣብ ክልተ ናብራይ ምቅያር ከመይ ማለት እዩ እንድሕር ኢልኩም لقاح قال ما لنا وطينا نيرنا لقاح زيقنا حز لقاح زبالي ولين ماليسا او تناي وشت منوريا بتركل هذا 4-5 يكون عريه زهد كمونا واقع وين مسو زرياني مسو فلطنا 10 لعليتاتن ون يهتري
نحن زي انا وهراس وسني ودي تعمينا نسلين زي كنا خلهم دين ما تخرج تستي تلاس بزح سقات له اي مش موتر وين يقرا موتر اساس جح بلا سلس صدق بزح هذا تخلص سقات يلاي زي اغنا هذا تخلص سقات له اي نوان سيتون بتاعنا اقل بتاعنا سلس عين سرحه ونا سرحه متقامل لنا
توسن من تسرحه يا زماي تسرح العقبي زماي قليل بقى كل ما يبقى بتعمي قنجو خوينو يا ابو غيرم نازي اول تنكر كرم ناوز مثلا المعنى هاوزي بزنتري ونهم زياد لو طعمي قنجو زي منم ما يفلط نير زي سلكا تخلكا خوندي يهوني منم ما يفلط نير هسه بطعم تردينا مهرتي بطعمي قنجو هرنا خالي ነገር አህዲዩ خالي نا ገዛና ሁሉ ነገር ንብረት ገዛና ዝሮ በርጉ እዩ هذه ጽቦ ገርና እና ንረክብ ደኒኑ ጸገማህ ነይሩ ያው ደኒ ኣብ ምክላሉ እንሳ ምናምን ይበልዓልና ነይረን ኣብዚ ባሕለና ኢና ገለ ነይርና ህዝቢ ግን ሰውን ምደም ተረድሞ እዚ
ሳፍቲ እቲ ማሕበር እዚ በሃሉ ጸገማት ለለዎስ ታይ እዮም ታይ ጸገማት ለለዎ ብሃመይ ታይ ተተገበረ ክፍትሑ እዮም ኢልካ ትሕብረና
ያው እዚ ማሕበር ዘሎ ጸገማት ናይ ተፈጥራዊ ኣቀማማጥ ናይ ውሕጅ ሓደጋ ኣሎ ምክንያቱ ከምቲ ትሪእዎ ዘለኹም ፈሳሽ ናውዚ ናይ ተዓዲ መፋስስ ሓደ ውሕጅ ካብኡ እዚ ናይ ስራሕቲ ጋብየን ብዙሕ ተለና ኣጣዕሞ ጥቀም ቴክኖሎጂታት ዝወፅሖ ገባር ኣሎ ኣብዚ መቐለ ዩኒቨርሲቲ ከምቱ ጀሚርዎ ዘሎ ትገባር ኩሉ ፅኒዑ ዝእታወታት እዚ ክተኣታቶ ዲዛይነን ንቐጻላይ ክበላኽለውን መጠራቐሚ ናይ ዝኽስታይ ክህልወን ኣለዎ ምክንያቱ ሰዓት ናይ ምሸት ትሰርሕለን ስለደሊ መጠራቐሚ ክህልወለን ኣለዎ ዝቐሪና ስልጠናታት ከዓ ብቐረባ ክካየድ ዕሙቕ ኢሉ ብተግባር ክትሕርሻ ስልጠና ክካየደልና
And thank you to the Ethiopian team for that presentation. Iyasu, any additions quickly before we take a comment or a question on the chat box?
Yeah, what I was just writing. What was so interesting, of course, this system of providing the solar pump technology, giving them the necessary technical support, giving them the necessary training, and giving them actually water efficient water application methods like drips has actually made the life of our farmers very, very interesting. But what I really found interesting is actually the woman's perspective. So if you have heard the woman talking, she raised actually two important elements with regard to the solar pumps. One, compared to diesel, then the water application efficiency is very high because it applies enough water that actually infiltrates into the soil compared to the one that actually pumps a lot of water and then makes a loss. But the second is she can do, for instance, cooking as she irrigates, or she can do actually something else as she irrigates. So it also not only is efficient, but so allows actually farmers to do even multiple things as they irrigate. So I think A4 Labs has been right introducing these solar pumps to our poor farmers in the east of Africa.
Indeed, I support that, and I do agree with you, Dr. Iyasu. And also, what I liked about this Farm of Waste presentation was how the farmers also incorporated aspects of integrated water resource management and environmental protection within the basin and within the catchment. So this, for me, really was a good show of how it's not just about extracting water, but also about preserving, conserving, and protecting the watershed within which provides water to our water sources. So thank you for that. Pooja, can we take one comment from the chat box?
Yes, we have a very rich discussion ongoing in the chat box. So I'm
Indeed,
trying to
indeed.
catch up myself. And so let's see, we have Joyce who's saying the issue of record keeping by the farmers was silent if the project is to, so that is important if the project is to co-create and test some recording has to be encouraged. So I think she's saying that the recording by the farmers is an important part of the learning process and the co-creating that we aim for.
Indeed. Yep. Documentation is key and critical for learning.
Absolutely. And Anne Van Loon also agrees, says, indeed, interesting research on monitoring and some conceptual modeling could give an idea of this. And I'll add just one more question here before we take the rest in the discussion. So there was this question on the financing model. What was the financing model used in the Ethiopian case? I see the farmers talking about repaying loans.
Okay.
So
What?
The question is about loans. What is the financing model for the farmers?
Actually, farmers get loans for agricultural activities from a non-governmental credit and finance institution called the Debit Credit and Debit Organization. So they take loans, or and then there is an interest rate that they have to pay. But the difference is when it is to the farmers, the interest rate is low. But if it is like for other organizations, then it becomes high. Then there are two modalities of loan. One, they can be given money so that they can manage, but the most common is for the institution to provide them the inputs they need. If it is a pump, if it is a seed, if it is a fertilizer. So in that way, they will not actually also lose the money. So they can actually spend it on their productive purpose. Then the payment depends on the agreement, but it can, for instance, sometimes go up to 5 years or 6 years of returning the debt. So it focuses, this institution mainly focuses on providing sufficient loans to farmers and landless users.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Iyasu, for that. And I'm sure we still have comments and questions on it. We will put these in the chat box and we will continue to take note of them. Now let us move on to the presentation from Mozambique, the Limpopo Basin, and we'll be given this presentation by Sergio Pongwane. Sergio, unmute yourself, Sergio. I'm not getting any feedback, Cesario.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Sergio.
Thank you very much. Warm greetings from Mozambique.
Yours. Thank you very much. You can go ahead, Sergio.
Yeah, thank you. So the video we are going to see here is of another farmers. We said currently we are working with 3 farmers, but a 4th farmer has just joined the project. So we are now working with four farmers. And the one we are going to see here is called Donna Ania. Donna Ania used to work with Donna Anita. And Donna Anita is a well-known, successful farmer here. As said, she was performing very well. And she was working with Donna Ania. Donania acquired enough experience to manage her own farm. So since last year, she joined the project and she's now producing different crops. And the big challenge they are facing are related to the market access. The varieties of some crops they've produced last year were not well demanded in the market. So they are trying now to find different varieties that they can produce. And the market is not well developed. So they are trying to get access to some other markets, but there are still a lot of cost of transportation. And as we can see, Donanita helped another farmers, the other 3 farmers who are joining the project. Now in the video, we are going to see Donna Ania. Donna Ania is an example of those farmers who acquired experience learning by doing with Donna Anita. So briefly, this is what we are going to see in the video coming up next.
Okay. Pooja, please share the video for the Limpopo Basin.
Os filhos vão ter abraçar, mesmo aqueles que te deixaram um dia vão voltar, nunca mais partir.
Mina Manania, ntirhile kola eDozimile na Mananita. Loko Mananita tava yasungule ku nghena la a kuma na hlangana ni va swimotora va khulumisana na yena se yo kumeka na mina voni xikan'we na yena hi ku ta hi ta mpfunetela hi ku hi la ku vona leswaku hi nga swi vona leswi swa ku ve hi humula ku hi rhwala mayemera hi tinhloko amukoveni hi chelela tin'hwembe hi gava xikhele ka ku woma ka ku ta maje khamati hi tlhateka nhlokweni hi yemera se hi chelela la byala ntumbula hinkwaswo leswi hi nga swi byala la ha byala mukoveni se ma hi chelela hi nhloko maje swo gama ku swi lava nga kumanga nchumu ni switsongo yo ta hi ta hlangana mina na yena hi khomisana hi tirhisana lawo ka swona swoleswe hi vuya ku ve na mumoya wukulu a hi ganyanga nchumu hi tlhela hi sungulisa xirimi xin'wanyana xa vumbirhi hi rima na lana nga kuma xipfuni xa ku va hi pfunanyana mi hi pfunanyana hi timbewu loko pfuneke hi timbewunyana letiya hi byala timbewu letiya ti hi nyika mali ti hi nyikile nje malinyana ya ku fika amadonji amasiku midlonje kumeka leswaku mali leya hi vonini ntirho wa yona hi yi tirhisa lexi hi khakhela hi xo xi hi pfuna hambi mina mali leya yi ni pfunini ni kumeka n'wana wa mina a vabya swinene ma ku rhwaliwa kunene a va xibedhlele hi yo yi nga ha ni pfuna yi ni pfuxele n'wana wa mina loko ni kume ku ve ni hi famba hambi hi swakudya phekula ku va ku heleketela ankovina ni nga ta yi kuma lomu ka vuxovelo ya mere ka nhloko na mina ni montorho wa mina mere sweswo swi ni regile mina hi montorho wa mina byalini swivelani byalini switsonani ni byalini tin'hwembe ni byalini masaladi manje masaladi lawa hi nga ma byala lawa ku ve masaladi ya vusiwana a va ma lavi lava ku gwetsa a va ku xava va ma lavi sweswi mo karhala marhumbuka hi wona sweswi hi nga ma byalisa sweswi to kambe swi tsemelela manje loko ni salada leliya ra nawu wa kona leliya va ri tsakelaka timbewu ta kona manje a hi tikumanga ku kumeka hi nga ri na tona timbewu se manje sweswi biri loko u kuma swimalani a wu xikaleli tako u navela ku xava nge ngo kuma mandhandhi kuma tinyala kuma makhopo kuma saladi leswaku hi ta za hi swi vona xipfuno lexi va nga pfuniwa hi xona hi tsake ngopfu swinene nkarhi sweswo van'wanyani va swi navela van'wanyani hi lava va ku se va ncengeki loko va ku vona u xi chopa xi pakile xi ta mahlweni se ngi vo nyenyetseka van'wana lava mazonge vona volavo na hina mhaka hina hayi ku tsaka ka mina engini ngopfu ma swimalani swa ku za ni navela ku fika se ni xava montoro lowa wa ku chela gasolina lowuya ni rega timbewu leti saseka ni ya phambili kumba ku na loya a swi monya i ta swi vona swa ku ya leswi a ni swi tirha nga ri kutsongo ku a henhla ku nga ku nga tlanga kahle ho tshama timbewu ti tlhelela
Mozambique, the flowers will bloom. Faces oh so tender, glowing like the moon.
And thank you to the Team Mozambique for that particular video and the lessons that we are learning from Mozambique. Sergio, quick comment before we open up to the floor for just a reaction and one chat. Sergio, you can go ahead.
Yes. This, as I mentioned earlier, Donna Ania, sometimes they face another challenge like related to cloud days. And one of the things maybe we could add on this is like, if we could get a reservoir where we put water and during the cloud days, they can even continue to irrigate. Maybe just add this on what I mentioned.
All right. Thank you, Pooja. We can go ahead over to you. If there's anything in the comment section that requires a quick reaction from Sergio.
Yes, maybe we can take one question here about extension workers. So the question is, do the farmers in Mozambique get assistance from extension workers as well? And any advice that they get on crop selection?
You can go ahead, Sergio.
They do have assistance from extension service providers. And the problem of the market is that these farms are located, let's say, 20 kilometers from Chokwe district, the center, where we have developed the market. So there are small traders who used to buy their crops on the field. So when they go there, they normally sometimes complain, saying that the consumers prefer different varieties, for example, of vegetables. And the ones they are producing are not the one most consumed in the market. So that is the problem. There is no a well-organized market in the region, in Makaretan, for instance, so they have to move, but the transportation costs may be very high. So they depend actually in the market just around.
Okay. Thanks, Sergio. I think that also partly, this is the second question that was on, that there was a mention of markets being undeveloped. And
yes, undeveloped, yes.
Yeah, and what informs the choice of crops grown by the farmers, and if there's any participatory market systems developed.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, did you want to add anything to that, or if there was any participatory market systems development?
No, by the moment, no, we don't have.
Okay. Okay, over to you, Luis. I think there are many more, but we saved them for later so that we can run through the farmer voices.
Indeed, I agree with you. And now we shall have our next presentation. It's coming from the Mzingwane Lab. We are going to have the presentation from Ms. Masego. Ms. Masego, are you online?
Greetings, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Sambulise Masego from Tabane Water Workshops in Zimbabwe. So I'll be taking you through what the A4 Labs project is currently doing under the Mzingwane Lab in Zimbabwe. So the project in Zimbabwe currently is in Matobo district in the Matabeleland South province, which is usually characterized by low rainfalls. And then we currently have 11 smallholder farmers who have at least 0.1 hectares of land each. And these farmers are drawing water from the Shashane Sand River, drawing directly from the river, and others from an infield well, which is supplied by the river. And then they use solar powered pumps, for example, the Future Pump SF2. The Future Pump SF2 and the Grand Force pumps. And then they usually grow crops which include cabbage, tomatoes, rape, chomalia, maize, and beans. So the project is currently monitoring various factors, which include farmer incomes, water productivity, groundwater fluctuations, pump absorption rates and sustainability, technologies, as well as the development of livelihoods by the farmers. And this we do through various ways, with farmer incomes being measured through sales and yield monitoring. And what we have observed so far is that average farmer incomes range from 1,000 rands to 12,000 rands per season for the farmers. Then in terms of groundwater fluctuations, the farmers themselves, they measure using the piezometers installed in the river, and this they do on a weekly basis. Pump absorption rates and sustainability research is also underway, with different technologies being used, such as also groundwater modeling, to determine the absorption rates, the pump drawdown, so as to inform decision making. And also, in terms of technologies and approaches, there's also has been a student research which has also informed decision making on the dynamic adaptive development pathways that have to be adopted by the farmers to ensure sustainable development. And to measure the livelihood development from the farmers, stories of change are constantly being conducted. And a lot has actually come out from these stories of change interviews from the farmers, which is in form of the irrigation systems. For example, the drip system that the farmers using, which according to the farmers is quite easy to use, as it is not labor intensive compared to the bucket system previously been used by farmers in different schemes in the community. And also farmers say there's been a change in the status in the community and how the community, other community members view them because of what they're now currently able to produce. And also they are keen to participate in individual farming methods as they feel farmers are more responsible to the irrigation equipment, and also they are self-driven. And also previously farmers have been using fuel-powered pumps for irrigating their crops. So because currently they're using solar-powered pumps, this is said to save a lot of money because, for example, you see a farmer has to, if they're using fuel-powered pumps, they spend something like 200 rands to 500 rands per week. So that is an investment that they're no longer doing. And they are also learning and doing crop trials and also investing in other sectors such as household improvements and the like. And farmers have also been noted to be trying other crops, for example, cabbages that are not normally grown in the community and are said to be from outside the local community. And then the COVID-19 pandemic has had quite an effect on irrigation activities, which has meant a lack of access to seed and pesticides because of travel restrictions that have come about, and also a flooded market as people are now employed in agricultural activities. So, however, food security has been enhanced compared to farmers who solely rely on rain-fed agriculture, because farmers are now able to produce even when there is no rain through irrigating. Then farmers have continued to work despite the corona pandemic, which is currently ongoing. And then through that, they've been advertising through WhatsApp platforms, advertising their produce as a form of marketing their produce. So as you see there, farmers advertise through their statuses and the like. Then we have had co-development and co-learning, which is really at the heart of the A4 Labs project, where farmers, stakeholders, and partners participate in developing and learning from different methodologies that are being employed and what other regions have been doing, and actually sharing that knowledge with the farmers. And then there's been comparison of drilling techniques, on-field drilling trials, and application demos. And this has been evaluated, and also these lessons shared with farmers, with also the stakeholders as well. And then at this point in time, I would like to redirect you to a video that was shot of a farmer, Lisani Matanda, showing success stories and also how they are going about with their irrigation activities and what they do on a daily basis and what really has changed in their livelihoods as a result of the project. So, Siyabonga, I hope you enjoy the video.
Thank you very much, Ms. Masego. Pooja, could you please run the video for us?
Lisan Matanda, Sepatalega village, Ward 2, Ematobo district, Emachibeng South Zimbabwe, Lima, Ingati Nukta All1, and A4 Labs. Silime impita silime chomoli salima irep salima cabbage salima la matamatisi le onion sibathathu engadindana sibathathu ingadi yethu i-0.5 hectares yafe hectare. So umuntu emunye ulima i-0.16. So ikhabitshi ekhona kathesi i-0.16. Le mbhida ekhona kathesi hlangana namatamatisi ingaphansi kwe-0.16. Thina lapha nxa silima indlela esiyisebenzisayo sisebenzisa amaphampu asenzela lula, silima lula, siyakwanisa lokulima indawo enkulu. le bizometer esincedisa ukuthi simeasure amanzi umuntu amanzi siwasebenzisa ahamba okungakanani aphansi okungakanani ngathi maningi okungakanani so simeasure amanzi lawa wesibili iviki zonke simeasure ngo-10 ekuseni bese sirekhoda so silerekhodi yakhona kwezinye izingadi abantu bathatha amanzi emthonjeni umthombo bawugebhele phansi bafake idrum so umthombo wana kuyabe kusiba nzima ukuthi umuntu ahamba ayethelela ingadi nxa silima sibathathu kodwa imuli zethu ziyabuya zosincedisa kumbe omakhelwane bakwazi bayazosincedisa umkethu wabo bazosincedisa ukuthi ngoba kuyi-family project omunye nomunye abezokuyencisa imuli yakhe ukuncedisa imuli yonke ekhaya uhlelo lungakafiki lungabi khona mina njengami ngangithole nzima ukuthi bona imali ngizayithatha kuphi ngangizecasa ngisakwenza ipolitiki kodwa athe sokulula ukuthi ngiyalima ngithengise ngizuze imali ngifake esikhwameni kade sengike ngathenga le mbuzi imali engiyilime khona imali engizuze ngithengisa umuntu yamathanga A4 labs siyalima ngilima ngithengisa so engulimile esengikulimile ngakuthengisa kuzofika phakathi ngingalima umumbu ngilima umumbu ngalima amathanga ngalima amakhabe ngalima lembida ichomolia lerebo esikwenzayo lapha engadini konke siyakubhala phansi siyabe sibhala phansi esikwenzayo engathi imisebenzi yonke siyabe siyenza kumbe ukuthengisa esikuthola sisiyakudla siyabe kubhala phansi akule bhuku libhalayo phansi ukuthi wenzani zokungakanani engadini siba lokudla okusihluphayo ukudla okunjengenyoni so inyoni ziyabuya zidla impida yethu so ukuthi sizixotshe sifake amadiski siwabophele entanjeni namakhasethi singaqeda ukusebenzisa ukuthelela sesikhupha i-sunflower pomp sesiyithola futhi sesiyisekhaya kuyikhona udisconnector wethu singayicitsha sikhupha ama-pipes sikhupha ama-solar panel sesiyibophela ebhasikilini ibhasikili liyi-1 liyathola konke iphampu lama-solar panels ayi-3 amanye ayi-2 abambili siyawagoqa sihlanganise sithwale sihambela kwekhaya
Thank you to the Zimbabwean team. Ms. Masego, a quick reaction before we hand over to the floor and to Pooja for comments in the chat section.
Okay, thank you for that. So as Louise had said earlier, we have on the fact that we have spin-off projects. Currently, we have the CS-RAB project where we are currently characterizing farmers along the Shashanisen River. And we hope to continue to learn from the individual farms and on how best to maximize output and continue farming. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Pooja?
Thank you. Thanks, Louise. So we have a lot of questions in the chat and some of them are being responded to as well. But I think what we can do is I've tried to categorize them into the broad sort of the broad categories that the questions fall in. So I can just state some of them, and then perhaps we have our speakers, so we can have Peter and others respond to them. So I won't go through them one by one, but just sort of state them group wise. So I think we have, of course, a lot of questions about sustainability, right? So we have a question about, is the water level in the shallow well being monitored? So that was a question for the Kenya case, but also I'm sure applies to others as well. Then Joyce said, I'm worried about the size of pumps increasing over time, as this indicates that the water table is decreasing. So again, many questions around those. There's also the question of pollution of oil and diesel pumps leaking into the alluvium. And then, someone's saying it's good to monitor to increase the total pumping rate over time in relation to changing water tables. So a lot of comments there about how the groundwater is being monitored, how the adapting sizes of the pumps is an indication of whether there may be some problems there. So if that's something I think we would need some response or discussion on.
All right.
Here, and Yap also says, seems that the and the role of solar power there. So how that can be a more environmentally friendly response. So can farmers pump with or without with permits or controls? And if there's any plan for A4 Labs to review experiences from other countries that depend on sand rivers. So that's one area. Then we have questions about the irrigation technology, about drip versus flood irrigation. We have a lot of questions about the pumps, the cheap Chinese pumps, as well as the solar pumps. So I'm just sort of rushing through some of these, but then we can, I'm sure in the discussion we will address all of these. So, and then there's a question about knowledge and skills. What type of knowledge and skills and challenges, the farmers are picking up, and and I'm sure there are many more, even as I speak, that are being added in the chat. So I really encourage and welcome even the speakers and panelists to respond in the chat as well. But I think we are at a good point to start discussion, perhaps on the question of sustainability and and the irrigation technology.
All right. So what we will do now, I will just invite each country lead or each partner lead just to give a quick response to some of the questions. I'm sure they have been noting them. Jeremiah, you could give a quick response to some of the questions that have been asked, and you'll be followed by Sergio. And then if Iyasu or Miki is still there from Ethiopia, you'll give a response. And then the team from Tabani will also chip in. So Jeremiah, if you have anything to say or to respond to, there are so many questions, you could respond to those that you can respond to.
Okay, I think we had many questions from our Kenyan side, but then I'll just mention just some few that for groundwater monitoring, we are currently under the NABIC project doing monitoring of the groundwater. And of course, going forward, we are looking at how we can involve the community in this. But as of now, the information we're getting from the farmers, of course, is that the ground levels are stable and also the resource we have. But of course, it's a long-term arrangement which we need to do so that we are able to assess, because the irrigation in this area is increasing very rapidly, and of course the need, and as I'm sure it's appreciated that we need to do this monitoring, and of course, as we said, sustainably, because this is a project which will run maybe in the next 2 years, that the community has to appreciate the need of checking the water levels, and because it will inform on issues about water availability. Of course, this all discussion about the diesel pumps and the solar. Of course, I'm sure through the NABIC project and the Kenyan case, we have not gotten the opportunity to introduce these solar pumps. So what is happening is that the farmers are just looking at, as I mentioned, the technology which they have, and the Kenyan case is unique because it's a big sand river system, and there are no the Kajiado case is that there are no sand dams. So and I saw there was a question about sand dams. That's another case we have in another case study which we've not presented. That's in Kitui, for those who are familiar with that. But this case of Olkarai is a pure natural system, and it has a lot of interest because it's huge, and the amount of irrigation now happening around that area is excessive. We mentioned about issues about agricultural extension officers. For sure, since it's so rapidly expanding, is that there is no response from the government, and in Kajiado area it's more livestock areas. So the agricultural officers who are around there, some of them are not familiar with this new crops which are being introduced. So you find that most might not even be having the technical knowledge, because when we asked one of the farmers, they were saying they asked us to do this, but then when they tried, they didn't get solutions to some of the problems they had. So it's something which is developing very fast. But during the discussions, I think we'll have more on this very interesting case of the Kenyan case.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremiah. I see online we have Dr. Stephen Hasi from Tavane and Engineer Bongani Mpofu. I would like you to comment on the issue of groundwater monitoring that Jeremiah was talking about. The case of the Shashani, if you could give us in a comment around that particular issue.
Thanks, Louise. Yeah, obviously this is critical, and also a point came up on the chat box of flooding in Mozambique. Okay, it's a big draw difference, if you like, but that particular river, the Shashani, I've seen that running 3 meters high, standing waves, 3 meters depth of water in that river. You saw the width of it. It's quite frightening. And that river, that water is gone, lost to the Indian Ocean whilst flooding Mozambique. So yeah, what we can do to make use of that water, to buffer the flow through use of sand abstraction, through construction of sand dams, not on a river that size, of course, but yeah, monitoring of water levels within the sediment of the Sand River Channel is very important. Losses actually through abstraction are almost negligible compared to the losses from evaporation and downstream drainage. Also, although it's clay in the bottom of the river channel, the loss through the river bed is not excessive, but there is ingress and ingress of water in and out of the river banks. Yeah, so keeping a check on the volume of water, the depth of water in the river channel is very important, and it does help us to evaluate what can be undertaken through irrigation. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Hasi. Sergio, any quick comments any quick responses to the questions and comments that were asked from your lab?
Okay, thank you very much, Louise.
Right.
In fact, we are working on 2 main issues. One of them is to see how can farmers maybe sell their produce, because they produce a lot, but the issue of market is still a problem. So we are trying to see how can the 4 farmers now cooperate so that they reduce costs to transport their produce to Shokwe, Shok Market. And this will be very good, because it will enable them or the project to be sustainable. If they can sell their produce, they will earn more and be able to maybe pay some or afford the cost of maintenance of their farms. That's one issue. Another one is to see how they can find how can say this, how these farmers can work together, not in production, but in finding alternative markets, and maybe one day they can be able to acquire a new pump. In terms of production, I think they produce, but the sustainability depends on how the markets function and how they can earn enough income to pay the cost.
All right. Thank you very much, Sergio. Do you have any other responses to the other questions that were asked about your lab, or can I move on?
I think that was the only one question that were not well answered, maybe during our presentation.
Discussion. All right, that is fine. Team Ethiopia, do you have any quick reactions or responses to questions that have been asked? I see Mickey, you're on. I'm not sure if Dr. Yasu is still around, but if you can comment, it's okay.
Excuse me, Luis. Regarding what were the questions?
Pooja, kindly assist Mickey.
Mickey, there were questions about sustainability, but also perhaps you could respond to a question about moving towards more efficient irrigation technology. Is that something that farmers are more inclined to do, to move towards, say, drip irrigation?
Okay.
Okay, regarding the sustainability, because the pumps they have a very small discharge, so it's better if we provide them the tanks that they can pump to the tank, then they can use using that tank for the irrigation. So we are working with partners, the Agricultural Office, and there is another local partner, Relief Society of Tigray. Then the Agricultural Office will provide them all the accessories for the drip irrigation. Then we will technically help the farmers for this for the installation of all the drip irrigation systems. That's what we are planning. Thank you.
Thanks, Mickey. There are a couple more questions. One is more on the regulation in Ethiopia. So one is about what bylaws were passed to deal with animal destruction of crops, because I think that was one of the concerns that a farmer mentions in the video. So are these formal bylaws or informal bylaws?
Yes.
They are formal bylaws. They were written by the cooperative, then they have legal, they go through the legal process. So one is, there is a fine for money if one is is not following the rules, the bylaws.
Okay.
Okay, and then if very quickly you could also respond to this question on the overall regulatory environment in Ethiopia. Can farmers pump without controls or permits?
Yeah, regarding this, there is no law, so farmers can use as much as they want. That is the current situation.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Mickey. Perhaps quick reactions from the Dabane team. I see we have partners from the National University of Science and Technology as well as from the University of Zimbabwe. They could also chip in at this time just to give in their comments, observations. So Dabane team, together with your partners, the UZ and NUST, you can go ahead.
Hello, can I comment on the issue of maintenance?
You can go ahead, Mrs. Dube.
Okay. I think there was a question asked on whether the farmers were then able to maintain the pumps as it were. And my response would be right from the constitution making, farmers are made aware as they make their constitution, those are some of the issues that come in. And also, there is pump service and maintenance that the farmers undergo. That is to assist them to be able to manage the pumps on their own, do any particular maintenance they are able to do. And then we also undertake them through participatory market systems development. This is to assist them to identify what the market wants. And then when they grow whatever crops, the decision is from what the market says. And we also work with the government extension officers in terms of sustainability. As Dabane moves on, we are an NGO, but the government extension officers are always there to assist. And then finally, farmers are also encouraged to keep on their records. These records are there to motivate and see and have a history of where they are coming from, and it will assist them to know where they will be going to, especially in terms of recording down the incomes they get. They can therefore decide which crops are good for them and at what time of the year, and then together with the groundwater modeling or groundwater monitoring, they then know at what particular time of the year which crops to grow, because water table may be high or the water table will be low.
Thank you very much for that comment, Mrs. Dube. Anybody else from the Dabane team who would like to give a comment? Ms. Masego?
Okay, thank you for that. I would like to respond to a question that was asked about profits being low, in the sense that I mentioned that farmers have average incomes of ranging from 1,000 to over 10,000 rands. So when you look at the profits, that is gross income. But when you look at the profits, it's a lot when you're considering the fact that the farmers wouldn't have really put in much, as in the pump would have been supplied by the project so far. So in terms of that, just wanted to clear that one. And also those pumps, they are low cost.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Masego. Now we have a community leader, but of course I will leave that to Professor van der Zalk. What I'm going to do right now is to call upon Professor Peter van der Zalk to lead us now into this session where we are opening up the platform for comments, for questions and discussions on opportunities for further collaboration. We have special invited guests joining us, and Professor van der Zalk is going to call upon these senior irrigation specialists from the various countries to say something, and as well as local community members who are also joining us today to give a comment. So Professor van der Zalk, the floor is yours. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Louise, for a wonderful session and for a wonderful moderation of the session. You know, we had invited a few irrigation colleagues from the government of Zimbabwe and the government of Mozambique, but I don't think they are participating. Probably they were too busy with their duties. Before inviting Mr. Anthony from Kenya to the community leader to say something, I first want to make one remark, because my head is bubbling with lots of things that I would like to say. But the most important one is perhaps this one. You know, traditional irrigation development, as it has been practiced for smallholder irrigation, is very expensive. It costs easily $20,000 per hectare. Now, if you translate that to 2,000 square meters, that is the average that our farmers are using, that is $4,000 that the governments are investing in conventional irrigation development. If only there would be a window in each of these countries to also support individual, poor, smallholder farmers with a little bit of that 4,000. For instance, to subsidize part of the cost of the pump, that would already solve, I think, most of the problems. And then the farmers will be able to pay back even the loan eventually. And then there is no schemes that deteriorate and have to be rehabilitated again, because the farmers will fend for themselves. So this is, I think, what I would like to say, that the mainstreaming of this farmer-led individual smallholder farming irrigation development is very urgently necessary. And that is what I am now busy with, to try to really communicate with the irrigation departments in the various countries to open up the windows for them, because they're investing tremendous amounts of money. There's a big project in Zimbabwe, 26 million for irrigation development, but it's not for the individual smallholder farmer. And the same for Mozambique. And I think that is really a missed opportunity. And with these stories of the farmers, we can prove that this proof of concept that we are co-developing is worthwhile. Of course, I would like to say many more things, but that's not interesting. May I invite Mr. Anthony to give a community perspective to what he has seen in this session so far. Mr. Anthony, the floor is yours.
Mr. Anthony, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Anthony, we can see you. Just need to unmute.
Yes.
And in the meantime, I can just quickly introduce Anthony. He's a community leader from the Kajiado region in Kenya, where our case study is based. You will see on your bottom left side, there is a button which looks like a microphone. So if you just click on that, that will unmute you.
Perhaps I can still say one while Anthony is sorting out the technicalities. One of the great innovations that this project has done, together with Practica, with Dabani, and with ESPG, is developing a method to hand drill well points to up to 3, 4, 5 meters just by hand. and at a cost of maximum $100 with profit if it would have been done by a small enterprise. And if you see how in Kenya they are struggling with the scoop holes and with these big hand dug shallow wells, then I think that can also make a difference in Kenya. And that it allows also the farmers to easily measure water levels in these small well points of only a few inches. And Barry is also in the room. He can later perhaps say something about it, although we're running out of time.
Yes.
Anthony, have you found out how to unmute yourself?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Gordon, as host, are we able to unmute Anthony?
You, as co-host, should be able to do so, I think.
Yeah, let me try. There is only, I have to ask, there is only option to ask him to unmute.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to do it properly.
So.
Okay, that's a pity.
Okay.
We can discuss many things, but I don't want to dominate this discussion. Pooja, help me,
Peter,
please.
yes, I think there's another sort of broader question that's also something that is very relevant. So it goes like this, maybe a broader question for the discussion. Not all farmers will have the opportunity to use solar pumps and water from sand rivers for irrigation. I guess the semi-arid areas will not have enough water available, or distance to a sand river can be a challenge. What part of the rural society can benefit from this? And will this cause internal conflict over land close to sand rivers or wells if this becomes a widespread technique?
Okay.
Yeah. So what is very interesting, we have two very contrasting cases. We have the Kenya case, where there is really a booming situation, and it is out of hand. There's no regulation. But if you look at, for instance, the case in Zimbabwe and in Mozambique, the developments are going very slowly. That's not 1% of the potential is being utilized at this moment. Perhaps not even 0.1%. Yeah. So I wish we were at a stage that there would be, we would reach the limit, because then it would mean that the economy would be more booming and there would be less poor people. So of course we need to prepare ourselves for that eventuality, that we are successful and that the farmers are really starting to develop at a greater pace the sand rivers. So we have to prepare ourselves, but for the moment we still have a lot of time because there's so much scope. So what we have been doing, and that's why it is so important that you saw in the film, that the farmers learn to measure the water levels, that they start to understand how their abstraction responds to, how the river responds to their abstraction. And that is the first little step, but key step for institutions to emerge. If there is no knowledge of the system and information on the system, then it is impossible to co-manage the resource. So, and that's why we invest so much also in that the farmers really learn themselves how the system responds. We have rough ideas, we also don't know it exactly, but it is more important that the farmers know it.
I see.
We see Anthony has been able to unmute himself.
Yes.
Can I give the floor to you, Anthony?
We can hear you, Anthony.
I can't hear you.
You have to speak a little more loudly.
Yes.
No, I don't hear it.
Oh.
Perhaps he should get his headphone off and just speak in the computer. Can you get your headphone off and plug out your headphone and try to speak? Oh, he's muted himself again.
Yeah.
All right. I recognize that we have Dr. Chinyama on the platform. She's also a partner of this A4 Labs project. Dr. Chinyama, would you like to make a comment? Okay. Dr. Chinyama? Okay, we are not getting any feedback, but I see Anthony right now has unmuted himself. Anthony, are you ready?
Now, if not, then I propose to invite Aline to give her views. Dr. Aline Saraiva, she's in the call.
Okay.
She's also interested in sand rivers and very knowledgeable. Aline, would you like to share some of your thoughts with us? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Thank you, Peter. And my apologies, I have little ones, so there might be a bit of background noise. But thank you very much. The project has been very interesting, very enriching presentations. I would like to see, first, I think one of the questions that I just put now was if there was a comparison between files of the farmers, different locations, and maybe the context that they live in, because I think this would help us learn a lot about what solutions can work better for each place. Because I could see from the in Mozambique, you have more the women that are very poorly educated, very low education level. They have no access to markets. They don't have connections or relationships. Whereas in Ethiopia, you have a corporation or a cooperative that is working there, home-oriented. And so some of these aspects could help us also some of the jobs between the case studies. So I was wondering if the project would do these comparisons as well.
You can go ahead, Peter. You have to unmute yourself. Thank you.
I think, Louisa, you could better answer this question.
Indeed. Indeed, I can. Yes. Part of the learning and collaboration that we are doing really has been about doing these comparisons. Of course, each country is a different case. And of course, the opportunities for that kind of learning has been ongoing. And so what we want to be doing right now and moving forward really are those kind of comparisons, because we need appropriate approaches for specific areas, as you put it. So yes, indeed, that kind of learning and cross-learning is happening. For example, in the CES Rural Project, which I did allude to, it's a South-South learning between Mozambique and Zimbabwe. And here we are also just looking at those comparisons in terms of water abstraction, in terms of cropping, crop water productivity, in terms of access to markets, and of course, in terms of the general platforms or enabling environments that will create that kind of conducive environment for smallholder farmers. So definitely, indeed, a valid question, a valid point, and of course, indeed, research going forward. So yes, thank you for that, Aileen. Are there any other reactions from the team? If anyone has a response to that?
Hi, Louise.
Hi, Stephen.
I'd like to come back to the question on the sort of appropriateness of sand abstraction and the proximity of people to the river. The cost of water, if you like, that can be extracted from a sand river channel is so very low compared to any water harvesting system, where a subsurface tank, the cost per cubic meter of water stored is so much higher. Really, we have to go to where the water is, and there is water in these sand rivers below surface. It's safe water, very little pollution, contamination of it. Yeah, people have to go to where there is water. That's where the water is. We have to get it out of that sand river channel as cost effectively as possible. That, I feel, is one of the challenges, rather than trying to abstract water from deep groundwater boreholes. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for sand dams, sand abstraction, and that's what we have to push up for low-cost irrigation. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Louise,
Dr. Hasse. Yes, Peter?
We are running out of time.
Indeed.
At what time is the plenary closing session? At 12:30, in half an hour's time, or in 15 minutes? I'm confused.
All right, we are wrapping up at 12:30.
At 12:30, okay, then we still
Yes.
have time. Okay.
Yes. So we are opening up the session. I'll just find out quickly from Anthony Matutua if he's ready to go. If not, we are now opening up the session to everyone for questions, comments, and really on opportunities that you see us going forward with smallholder irrigation. Anthony, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Hi.
Ah, welcome.
Hi, listeners.
Finally, yes. It's good to
Yes.
have you on board.
Yes, okay. My name is Anthony Mtutua from Kajiado.
Welcome, Anthony. How are you?
Yes, and I'm working in Kajiado through
Okay.
Southeastern Kenya
You're a
University.
community leader there in Kenya. We understand
research
you have
program
some
on-
perspectives you would like to share with us.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
So, okay. Hi. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead. What is
Okay,
your
fine
view
then.
on this project?
Yes, I sang for the participant for the good presentation they make to us. I want to say hi to my friend Peter, Dr. Yasu from and
Anthony, you can go ahead.
the rest.
I think
we also
okay.
in Selekei and the Roka River, where we are doing a lot of studies. And in part of Kajiado, we see the water level is stable compared to other parts. It's unique because the people are using the shallow wells. But you find the other side, people are using, who are doing the cultivation along the riverbanks are foreigners, not the really Maasai from the other part. So we see that it needs a bit about the technology, our capacity, the local to be taught on how to make use of the local resources they have within their localities. And we also think about the issue of SF2 introduction in Kajiado because we don't have it at the moment. They're using the local knowledge from the shallow wells, the normal water pumps, and so on. And the people drawing from the cans to their farms. So there's a lot of things to be done along the water, along the river banks. We also raise about the issue of sand dams because you find along these rivers the most sand dam to protect this water flow from river. It's very about the cultivation and so on. Most people from that place are livestock farmers, not the crop irrigation. So they need that to be in their farms and knowledge in that part of it. So, and also need to be a bit of research to be done on that part in the Selekei. There's also another river we're trying to follow called Teroka in the western part of Kajiado district, where we see a lot of sand affect the water level in the rivers. And if you see the same farmers doing one thing, they wish do it, not sand harvesting system. Rather than the sand harvesting along the riverbank, because you're killing the future of other people along the riverbank. So people don't know about the knowledge about all these things because it's a new technology.
Okay.
To the local people around Nabi being with us, and university, Southern Kenya University, the Jomo Kenyatta with Dr. Kitala for the knowledge that given to the community on the know-how on these issues of cultivation in Kajiado district. So I think that's the way I should also comment on that issues. And we want maybe to know more knowledge on these issues about the introduction of S42, because it's a new introduction to some part. I can see from the white screen about other parts of the country, like in Zimbabwe, Limpopo, and so on. But in Kenya, we don't have this issue, which is a new technology to the community, the issue of solar pump, because it's more cheaper. There's no diesel and so on. So it's manageable than compared to the local machine we used to say, like a motorized pump and so on. Are you getting me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we are getting you. I just have a quick question for you. We realize that within the Kenya case, there are so many people who are coming from various places and are utilizing the land along the river. What challenges have you faced as a local leader in ensuring that there is equitable access to the utilization of the land and, of course, the abstraction of the water?
Okay, this because I say this is a knowledge. Because we in Masailand, people rather than the cultivation part of it, but because they know the knowledge, they see the opportunity along our river banks, maybe because there are plenty of water and they can also lease the land to the farmers. They fetch good money. But because of seeing that, we're trying to teach the local that you can use and make use of your land, because you have a very big land that you can make a lot of rather than renting to other people's outside the local within the farmers to know how on the issues of cultivation along the river rather than the common or the local people within the Kajiado district.
Thank you very much, Anthony Matutua, for that perspective. The floor is open. We can give our comments, we can give our suggestions to improve smallholder farming within, of course, Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, we can go ahead.
Louise, aren't we running?
Yes, Prof.
Aren't we running out of time? We still need. We have still two other items on the agenda, isn't it?
Sure. We just have 1 more minute for the questions. So if there's something that is really burning, this is the time that we could share.
Okay. Maybe for the Kenyan case, because there's an issue about land leasing, I think maybe bring just Benson to make a brief experience, because he also has a lot of experience in this area from our lab. Benson?
Thank you, Engineer Kitala. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You can go ahead, Benson.
Yes, my name is Benson, and I worked in Kajiado as part of my MSc thesis and research project last year. And I just want to share some of the findings that I found in Kajiado regarding the leasing and the willingness of people to invest in the area. Maybe Anthony can also attest to this, and he's already shared that the majority of the people who are farming in the area are immigrant farmers who've come from outside the area. And these farmers usually lease land from the local landowners, and they are very migratory. They do not stay there for a very long time because of various challenges, maybe issues to do with the crop pests and diseases, or maybe water shortages at some points of the river. So you find that these farmers usually move from season to season from one part of the river to another, or maybe to other parts of other farming areas. So there is this has an effect in terms of the kind of investments that they make, because you find the irrigation techniques and the irrigation methods that they're using have to be mobile as well. That's why you find most of them are using petrol pumps and diesel pumps, which are more mobile and they're portable, so that when they want to move from one farm plot to another farm plot, they can easily move. And it has an effect on the kind of investments. There are few farmers who are local farmers or people who have settled in the area and have bought land in the area. And you see them, these kind of farmers are the ones who invest in more permanent technologies like drip irrigation and other technologies which are more permanent because they're settled there. But the majority of the people are still using technology which is mobile or which allows them to move with them. When they finish their farming season, they can move to other parts of the river. So indeed, it has an effect on the kind of investment that they make and their willingness to make such investments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think to wrap up our session, Professor Pieter van der Zalk, do you just have a comment? And then we move on to the next part of this special session.
No, I just want to congratulate you for this session. And I think at the height, we had more than 50 participants, so you win, because we had a gamble. And I hope that we can keep all the addresses of the email addresses of all participants, so that we will send you some summary of the session, and yes, that we keep connected, because I think we need in Africa this movement. We think we make an estimate that perhaps 100 million people live not far from sand rivers in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes.
Most of them are destitute, are very poor, and this could be a solution to get them out of poverty. And I hope we all will be willing to be part of this movement to make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor van der Zalk. Now, moving on. From the months of February to August 2020, we had the COVID-19 lockdown. So what happened is that within the Mzingwane lab, Davane ran a video competition where community members within the Mzingwane lab attested to how they have seen improvements in their lives, in their livelihoods, through participating in this particular A4 Labs project. We opened out the competition to the farmers, and we asked them to send in short WhatsApp videos. So what we are going to watch now is a consolidation of those videos that the farmers sent in. Farmers sent in 35 WhatsApp videos, and these videos that we're going to see have not been professionally shot. It's the farmers who have sent in their videos using their phones, and just to show and demonstrate the excitement, the enthusiasm that smallholder irrigators have in the region. So Pooja, I ask you now to play for us the consolidated video of the WhatsApp challenge. And then I invite Ms. Masego to cope. So what we did is there was an adjudication process of the 35 videos. And here we were looking at the story with the most significant change and the farmer who has really demonstrated that kind of change. So we have a winner for the WhatsApp video with whom Ms. Masego is going to call. And we are hoping that as we call that farmer, the farmer will be able to answer, because it's a surprise. They are not aware that they are going to receive the call today. And hopefully we will congratulate the farmer. So Pooja, you can go ahead and share your screen for the consolidated WhatsApp challenge video.
I am Charles Nule from Ward 7. And this is Malava irrigation scheme.
Mina ngikhuluma nguSipho Ncube ngivela eMatobo district uMalaba Ward 7 Omazi village. Ngikhuluma nje ngingumlimi weThembani Garden. Ibizo ngiviolet iminyaka ingu44. Mina ngingumlimi eMalaba irrigation. ekumazwi village ngiyalitshela so okusethembani so hayi ohlezi phezu kwezandla ngoya behlezi phezu kwezandla
lapha okulemtshina yethu esesiyisebenzisa kathesi njengabomama asebephumelele asebephambili le yiyo isola yethu le yiyo esiyisebenzisayo siyapressa kuphela kubona sengicitshile ibithela bona sengiyilayithile
zitsha ngilezitsha ngemali yami yengadi lanxa ubaba evalelwe icorona phetsheya ngengadi ngiyaphila ngilamabheriali amabili engadlalayo enye ibheriali ngibhadala i-100 enye ngibhadala i-150 ngilamaklabhu lawo engadlalayo angu-2 enye iklabhu ngibhadala i-50 enye ngibhadala i-100 ngiyazitshayela iklabhu yami ngemali yengadi.
We are failing to rely on the rains because the place is dry.
Eyi-4 laps okutsho ukuthi indawo elesomiso esikhulu kakhulu kodwa ilemfula emkhulu elechebechebe lapho esiyenelisa ukuthola amanzi khona ukuthi ngikwazi ukulima throughout the year.
Imali leyo esithengisa ngayo imbhida amatamatisi yangisiza kakhulu mina last year ngifunda ngiform 4.
Thank you very much to the farmers. I think they deserve a round of applause. And now we move on to Ms. Masego, and I ask you, Ms. Masego, to call. So we had a list of judges, and the judging panel came up with 7 top videos. The winning video for the WhatsApp challenge came from Elina Moyo, who is a farmer at Tembani. We are now going to give Elina a call and notify her that she has won the challenge. So the challenge, what she has won, Miss Elina has won a voucher worth $70 that she will put towards her agricultural input as a smallholder farmer. Miss Masego, you can go ahead and give Miss Elina a call.
Okay, thank you. Calling now. It's ringing.
Okay.
Hello, Salvanan Mama boy. Siyaphila likhuluma loSoma sekwegabanga. Bengilifonela lapha mfo ngilitshela ukuthi yini eliwinileyo i-WhatsApp challenge amavidiyo lawa neliwafaki ku-WhatsApp. Okay.
So congratulations, Mama Elina Moyo.
We're a winner, Mama. I'm Kloppy. We're a winner.
Mama, you are live, and we are on a WaterNet symposium. Lapho kulabantu abavelela emhlabeni wonke jikelele belalele bayakuzwa. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you for sharing in your story. Maybe perhaps we can give a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Most welcome.
I'm sure, Mama.
I'm sure we enjoyed the videos.
Siyabonga, Mama.
Okay. An interesting case of farmer irrigation and smallholder farmer irrigation, and definitely we can see the issues that need to be done and indeed improving on smallholder irrigation. I now invite Paulo Saveca from ISPG to give us our closing remarks. Paulo, the floor is yours. Paulo, are you ready? Okay, Paulo is sharing his screen.
Hello.
Hi, Paulo, you can go ahead. The floor is yours. You can introduce yourself and then go on to the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Paulo Saveka from ISPG. What I can say is that today we have learned that we need to understand very well the system, because from the farmer voices, we could see that we came from uncertainties or maybe to a non-reality to socio-economic development in the rural areas. At the beginning of the project, we couldn't even know that we can find a water in the Sand River system, but because of different researches and approaches that have been done, we get there. And in terms of opportunities and challenges, this symposium have shown that we do have opportunities and also challenges. One of them is to understand the eco-hydrological dynamic and the potential of the Sand River system. And because in different labs, like in Mozambique, Kenya, Zimbabwe, even in Ethiopia, I saw that there is a potential that we can upscale this initiative to other areas of drylands in Africa. And because of that, we should take care of the environment impact of the system, because once we abstract water from the sand system, we need to understand in terms of the sustainability in order to make it happen. In terms of irrigation system for watering, I saw that in Mozambique we are using other experience, in Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Ethiopia as well. So we need to find a system which can suit for different hydrological environments in order to make our activities successful. And different farmers have shown that they are in dynamic adaptive process, because right now some of them, they are still doing a rain-fed agriculture and also irrigation system. So in the other end, they, in my understanding, it's like they are trying to compare which one is best, but it has been shown here that the irrigation system is the best one. Another challenge is to exchange experience between labs. I had one of our attendees here saying that, okay, there's a need of exchange experience between Mozambique and Zimbabwe, but we can extend even to Kenya as well as Ethiopia, because we have different results, we have different problems, we have different achievements. So we need to come together in order to build any platform, or maybe innovation platform, where we can bring partners across a spectrum in order to discuss together how can we help the smallholder farmers to access the market. And for that to happen, I know that the A4Lab is now in the ending stage, but for me it's the beginning, because we knew that, okay, we have opportunity in the Sand River system. So as the A4Lab is the beginning of the use of this system, we need to find other alternatives in order to continue working in the sand system. Why? Someone can ask me. Is because now we've proven that the Sand River could be the source to allow the socio-economic development in the drylands of Africa. So with this last slide, I would like to say that let's work together. Let's make the drylands of Africa to be engaged in the socio-economic development of the whole continent and even the world. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Paulos Aveca from ISPG Mozambique. Colleagues, I hope that this Farmer Voices session has been a critical enabler for us to start thinking on ways we could invest in to support smallholder irrigation. There is great potential of learning and collaboration, and we've heard from the Farmer Voices. We have allowed the Farmer Voices to be the platform that pushes us towards a shift towards creating that enabling policy, research, and implementation environment. Now, I would like all of us to turn on our videos so that we could take a group video of this special session, which will be sent to us or to the organizers who will make this available online for us. So if we could now, all of us just turn on our videos, and then we could capture a group video. Orlando, Primrose, Boaz, Rosemary. Hi, everyone. Please turn on your videos. Hi, Barry. I see you there. Tabith. Raphael. Pooja, how are we doing with the...
Boka Salim.
What was it, Luis?
How are we doing? Okay, I see some people there.
Yes.
Just a few more left.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and take the pictures.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can go ahead and do so.
Yeah. And we have 2 screens here.
Yes. Thank you, Boaz. Orlando. Philippa, it's good to see you again.
Indeed, good to see all the faces.
It is good to see all the faces. I'm sure we are done. Ngoni, I see you there. Greetings.
Thank you, everyone, for a very, very interesting session. Yes,
Mr.
Luis.
Nyati, turn on your video. Nicholas. Ah, there you are. Colleagues, thank you very much for having joined us for this special session. We can now move on to the closing sessions of the WaterNet Symposium. Thank you so much for participating, for your comments, your questions, all helping us to develop smallholder irrigation. See you next year, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much.
You're most welcome.
I think I'm going over to congratulate him now.